Is Austin, Texas still weird? That's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be diving into the history of Keep Austin Weird. Where did it come from? Why was Austin weird back in the day? And is Austin still weird nowadays? To start us off, we're with Barry, and I don't like giving introductions sometimes because I like have so much respect, especially for somebody like you. So I kind of want you to just tell me what you do, because I know you're a big involvement in one of the greatest bars in Austin, Texas, the Armadillo Den, where we're at today in South Austin. Yeah. 2 years ago, you won Best Bar in Austin, but even more impressive, because that's going to change, right? Even more impressive, every single year you're in the top 3 of that list.
We are always striving to be in the top of your list if we can help it, man. No, thanks, man, and glad to be here hanging out with you today. I'm on a nice little Monday. Yeah, I'm Brett Berry. I am one of the operators at Armadillo Den with 2 other business partners of mine, Kate Archer and Josh Hazard, goes by Biggie. We operate 3 bars here in Austin and Warren's backyard up in Granbury, where I'm from. So we have 4 total, but we're due for a weekend. So maybe TX can get you up there.
That'd be cool.
We do Armadillo Den, obviously. We do Dainty Dillo, which is a spinoff over there on the Colorado, where y'all had we've actually done all 3. This will be the trifecta, so that's cool. And then at Chalmers as well as our newest one. So, we're just trying to keep you busy, man.
Well, you're doing it right, and I like how they're all like a little different, even though they're connected at the same time. Yeah. And you see like the reasons they're so successful, they're connected in that way. Yeah. Like the way you're able to just easily get a drink. That's always been a complaint. If I go somewhere and I have to wait, 10 to 15 minutes to grab a drink, I'm like, there's 100 other bars I can go to.
We hopefully can get that done. There are days where we're a little busy and maybe it's a little over. But man, we've always kind of enjoyed the ice house model. That's something that really started in Texas. Whenever ice just started becoming, what people wanted in their homes to keep their food cool, but also it kind of became a little social hub for these little small towns. They'd have an ice house where they'd go pick up their ice in bulk, but they'd also usually have music, food, barbecue on Sundays, and so that became like this Texas kind of atmosphere where it was less about going to do something for grocery shopping and more about like, I'm going to go hang out at the ice house for a couple hours. And that's just kind of transformed into what we have today, I'd like to think. Yeah. But again, it's just ice cold beer, really, really good service, and a place for the community to kind of get together and hang out. That's the goal.
100%.
Sounds pretty easy when you put it like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point, because I think about bars being successful in Austin, and sometimes you're like, what are you doing? But then other times you also realize how hard it can be.
What's the special sauce? And everybody talks about, I think that's something that's important to have if you're going to start a business of any kind. Like, what's your special sauce? Ours is definitely our staff, always has been. Again, Biggie and Cade and me came from, I was one of those guys on 6th Street promoting, like, hey guys, come into our bar, get a free drink on the house. Like, that's where I started. Cade started in San Marcos and then moved up to Austin with a group, and I was working on 6th Street as well. And Biggie, we've done a podcast with Biggie where we talk about his jobs, and it's like a 6-hour podcast because the dude's been in the service industry since he was like 15.
Wow.
So all of us kind of come from a hospitality background, and I think being bartenders, we'd like to think that that's a big key component to the success of our place. Is like, I'd like to think when I was bartending, people came to see me. I know Cade and Biggie feel the same way, and so when we picked our staff, all these locations, we always try to find professionals that get it. People that have a lot of complaints behind the bar, I find, are very good at their job because they know what they like.
If you're not complaining, you probably don't care about the job.
I say complaints. Like, hopefully we take a lot of those off their plate. But people who like know what makes a bar run and operate smoothly, they're really easy and fun to work with. So we're lucky, man. We really are, and hopefully we can continue our success. And again, it's just cool being in a city like Austin where everybody cheers each other on. It's not like this everywhere, so don't take it for granted. I have buddies in Houston and Dallas that work in the hospitality world, and those guys are sometimes at each other's throat. And I feel like Austin is one of those places where we always have consistent business coming in, new business during football season. There's always people coming in, like Sam Houston last week, and traveled great because Sam Houston's never seen a place this big before.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So they're having a good time coming into town, and the SEC taking in our football, baseball, like that is such a big deal for just the hospitality around the city. I mean, some of our biggest days in the history of the city, whenever we would bartend, like Old Miss, I know not SEC, but like Notre Dame weekend was huge. Obviously, when LSU came in 2019, that was a huge weekend. So these large SEC schools coming in, it's just great for everybody. It's great for the city. It's cool to see like new schools coming through, and somebody from Tech might have been here 20 times to see a game, and now we're getting people from Florida and Auburn and LSU that have haven't been to Austin in decades, and they're really enjoying their time when they come here, and we're doing a good job of showing them a good time.
That's a great point. Yeah, all the people that are excited. Oh, even though I don't root for UT, this is a reason that we get to go out
to Austin. Everybody wants to talk about the little blueberry in the bowl of tomato soup. That's what they always call it, Austin, a little blue dot.
Yep.
Whenever you want to party or have a bachelor party or celebrate a birthday, this is where everybody in a driving range comes. So.
And it sounds crazy, but I do feel like Austin, not to get off track for what we're talking about, but I do feel like Austin did take a little dip in certain areas. And what I mean by that is like Dirty 6th Street, which used to be called Historical 6th Street, has gotten a little crazy and wild, and people maybe shifted out, and some people go to like East 6 now and West 6, and even Rainy Street, they started building all these condominiums and things like that. But it feels, from some of the news I've been hearing, is that Rainy's taking a little jump back. I don't think it's ever going to be the same, but I think it's going to become a fun little street again, and it sounds like they're trying to reinvest a lot of money into 6th Street. So I wonder, do you think, especially as somebody who's knowledgeable about different cities and the music cities, do you think Austin could be as crazy as like a Nashville at some point? Even though I think that Austin has its own beauty, Nashville, you go and that like Broadway is just a different level, right?
It really is. I think, man, that's a great question. To be fair, we talk about it all the time. Like, we all started on 6th Street, Historical 6th. I worked at many of the bars down there. I mean, there's got to be a family tree of who's come out of Blind Pig and went and ran their own bar successfully. There's a lot of them. And that's something, again, we're all pretty proud of, and I'd love to see resurgence of that street. I think that it's time and due. But again, I think that Austin as a city is growing so fast, and it's such a big school, and such, there's a lot of space and there's a lot more people moving in. There's only going to be some movement outside of downtown, and that's good for business as well.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, man. Rainy Street, like you said, like a lot of construction has taken over, the lion's share of that street for a couple of years now, and I think that's where we've seen some of the struggles. Mm-hmm. And now that some of that construction's kind of letting up, I think that there's got to be some kind of a bounce back, right? So,
yeah, for sure.
I'd love to see it. I know that, again, Luster Pearl is a spot that Biggie and me started, worked together whenever they reopened. And
that was one of the first bars on Rainy, right?
That's correct. Biggie was the first GM of Luster Pearl when it was just the house. And
no
the
way.
House is now, on the east side at the Luster Pearl East. And then whenever they reopened the new Luster Pearl, I actually was with the company, with Dunlap and Bridget and them, at Container Bar, and came over and was a self-appointed AGM. So,
wow.
It's a position I gave myself. It was nice. But it's a good question. And I think, again, like, a rising tide raises all ships. I would love nothing more than to see some kind of I wouldn't call it a facelift, because I think there's a lot of beauty in what's going on 6th Street, especially Rainy, just having some ties there as well. I think that the city and the street that we have on 6th Street is tough because it's all historical valued. So it's like
that needs
the facade. The facade will never be allowed to change. So when you look at Nashville, I mean, I was there a couple months ago. I know you just got back as well, and like it's a beast of a different creature. Like, we got 5-story buildings where I walked, like, we went to Luke Bryan's bar to just see it because I just wanted to see it. I was like, they gotta be doing something different. They're not doing anything different than we are. They just have a lot more space to do it.
Okay.
And I mean, the biggest bar we have on 6 is going to be your Blind Pig, and if you get to Buford's, go down to Buford's, and Chalmers is probably on the east side, in Cahoots as well. Those are just the spaces that can hold the most people.
That's
and in Nashville, we don't hold a fiddle to that. So
maybe that's it, because what I noticed in Nashville is, like, you could go at 2 in the day and there are actually tons of people walking on the street, shopping, going to those bars, doing things. Whereas you go to 6th Street at 2 in the day, it's kind of dead.
A little different, right. And I think, there's a lot of cultural differences from that too. Nashville being a much bigger city, like, maybe not as much big, as just where it's located. I mean, we always compete with Nashville on who's going to have the Bachelorette, #1 spot for the year. And it's something that Austin is, like, I'm pretty proud of. Like, we get a lot of money from bachelor and bachelorette parties that come through.
I don't want to
stop.
stop.
Yeah, it's great. But it is different. And I mean, those bands in Nashville, like, usually just pay for or play for tips. Whereas in Austin, if you see somebody playing, they're getting paid. And it's just different. It's a different business model. I would love to, again, see some of what 6th Street is turn into that and be more of a tourist, destination. I feel like when people come in, they want to see it, but there's so much cool stuff going on that's new outside of that part of the street that, again, it's not to anyone's fault that we're not, updating these buildings. I know a lot of the buildings are dealing with old pipes. It's really hard to get the city to approve to come in and fix. And then you're going to close for like 6 months, 6 weeks to redo it. Like, it's a hard ask. So again, like, I would love to see some more, money be put into that area and continue to grow, because it's a lot of us cut our teeth there, and like we'd all like to see it, be a spot that we're all happy to go down to. But
Yeah.
right now, man, our focus is on the east side, and that's just because of our 2 spots we got, and I have enough on our plate to not have to worry about thinking about historical 6 for a minute.
Yep. And I want to throw that out there, jumping back to your bars. Obviously, Armadillo Den, South Austin, it's already great for multiple food trucks, live music. Everybody loves a patio bar in Austin, Texas. You guys just hit every single point. But they opened Chalmers, it was officially
July
1 year?
4th last year, so it's been over a year.
Amazing. And I don't say this a lot, but I like to say it. When I saw it, I was like, this thing's going to blow up. And I said the reason was, one, we don't have like a legit sports bar in East Austin. There's a lot of bars that like
don't discredit Buckets now. Buckets has been around a long time.
Okay, no, fair. What I should have said too was like a big space for a sports place. Like that's like a small local bar to watch sports, but I mean more of like there's TVs everywhere.
And again, it kind of comes down to like the lay of the land, right? We're very lucky. Some people maybe see it as a hindrance, but like we like the extra space. But we don't have a alleyway. So if you look at like 6th Street, where Latchkey is, for example, or even we could use in Cahoots as an example, they have that alleyway that kind of sections them off. They can't go across the alleyway. Where we're on Cesar Chavez, we don't have that alleyway that goes second, so we were able to go all the way back and just have a little bit more space. So,
yeah.
Interesting. It was just something that the layout kind of allowed us to do, and I think we saw the same thing that you're saying. Like it's just a big space on on the east side where there's a lot of people that are living over there and going out, and
they want that. And people, there's a lot of sports fans. If there's anything about Austin that I've learned is that we're a transplant city, and there's sports fans from every team.
Yeah.
So they want to go to a bar that they can have different games on at times, and I know you got have a lot of like also team games where UT is on every TV.
Yeah.
But when it's just the NBA playoffs, I went there and I watched all the other games going on, and it's the one place that you can trust that sound's going to be on. Once again, easy to get drinks, multiple options to get food. Like even people who aren't there for the sports, they know their friend group is going, and they'll be like, well, I'm going to join you because it's still a fun hang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can bring your dog, hang out for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole point, right? Like a community little just get together, man. So.
And it does get crazy. So if you're not from Austin and you're visiting watching this, you like be prepared that if you're going on a Friday and Saturday, it gets crazy, which I'm a fan of that. Like when I go out, I want to have energy. That's why I'm leaving the house.
Yeah.
But there is some people that are like, I went there and too much. It was too much. Yeah.
It's,
so you
got sensory overload at times. I get that. And being only a year old, like we are even learning that as well. I think we see a lot of like room for growth in our weekdays, and like some of our programming we're doing there with the guys from Descada and Roll and Smoke. I think will be really cool in the next couple months. But seeing our Saturdays and like even during March Madness and stuff, like seeing how many, like you said, transplants. UT did not have a good basketball season last year and didn't really go into the March Madness tournament, but we still had a ton of people that wanted to come in and watch games, and like that's just a cool experience. Like everybody's kind of got a TV. Even here at Armadillo and at Dainty, you'll see a group of Texas Tech folks are all hanging out at one TV, and there'll be 20 or 30 people watching one TV and that maybe didn't show up together, but by the time first quarter's up, they're high-fiving and they're friends, and like they're talking about when they went to school. And so that's just the stuff that like we love to see, man. That's why we're in this industry. We want to party with y'all and have a good time and celebrate your highs. So it's good stuff.
So yeah, just to conclude on that, I mean, I'm not just saying that because this is a friend and somebody that I've connected with in the industry from doing what I do, but seriously, if you're in Austin or you're visiting Austin, those 3 bars, Armadillo Den, Chalmers, and Dainty Dillo in East Austin, and then you said Warren's backyard?
Yeah, Warren's up north. If you're ever in the Fort Worth area, it's like a miniature Armadillo Den.
Wow.
We got huge trees. We're actually doing the Texas State Chuck Wagon Cook-Off this weekend. It's like one of my favorite events. We'll have about 11 Chuck Wagons out there. They're like completely all in garb. They get like judged on how they look and authenticity. It's really, really cool. One of my favorite events. So yeah, we'll be up there and we go back and forth a little bit. So it's good stuff. Well,
that leads me to my next point. We're going to be diving in very soon into Keep Austin Weird, the history, and if it is anymore. But I do want to dive into just you a little bit so that the people watching have that context. They know Rachel. Rachel isn't here right now because actually we just took like a month off, both of us. And the reason was I was in Louisville for a week. I was in New York City for a week. Rachel went to Europe, and then
I
think she went to New Orleans, and then she just went somewhere else. It's been crazy.
Awesome.
But it's nice because we've been treating the podcast like seasons.
Yeah.
So we'll do like a hard 3 months, take a break, a hard 3 months, take a break, a hard 3 months. It keeps our brains fresh.
Yeah, of course. And that's what we really are here for.
Yeah.
Keep it fresh up top.
Yeah, imagine us like coming on and be like, so I guess today
I'm melted. Yeah.
But this is about to get fun because this is like, to me, my favorite month in Austin is October.
Absolutely.
You know?
So much good stuff going on. I mean, the weather finally feels like we're trying to actually go into fall. It's like
even though you're gonna see some sweat on me
September. I'm
today.
going to sweat today, and it's like the end of September. We should be in. If we were any other state, we'd be in the 60s right now, but not us.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Man, it's nice getting our first 2 weeks getting ACL kind of out of the way. Like I know that like when ACL feels like it's in the middle of the month, that October goes by like in a snap.
Yep.
It's exciting that ACL is like done in the first 2 weeks, and then we get to think about F1 and Halloween and all that. So
I agree.
It's also great games. The football season really is kind of like underway. We're starting to do some SEC games, and so you see that kind of like uptick for people paying attention. Not that Sam Houston and these other games aren't a big deal, they are, but it's definitely we should walk all over those teams as UT can do. So yeah, it's just an exciting time. Like everything's kind of ramping up, and everybody's
even Sundays. Like Sundays get a little dead in Austin, especially in August, which is the whole country probably. But it's just like such a beautiful scene in September when I like go out on a Sunday and I just see all these NFL fans out, and it's like we're back, baby, we're back.
Yeah. ACL Fest in general is just so many people coming to visit, and the town's just
weather
buzzing.
Gets better, like you said, ACL, and then it makes it fun. Like I've always said this, I'm a big fan of the whole experience.
Right.
So I know, you don't realize how many people don't go to ACL and then how many people do because of the numbers. But I love waking up in the morning and then the city's just lively. And then we go to a Barton Springs saloon before we decide. Baby. Yeah, it's the best. So that's honestly, I say it's weirdly an underrated bar because it's just like everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like transplants that go there because they're near like all those apartments.
I go there often. I like to play the pitch and putt, so I catch myself.
I love
Little
that.
pro tip: if you can't find anywhere to park when you want to play the pitch and putt, you can just go to BS Saloon, park, go get a drink, and then walk across, and they won't tow you. Or you can get your car washed, caddy corner at the little car wash station. But it's like one of those spots where, like, as soon as you walk in, if you're a local or if you're a bartender, especially, like they know and like they'll take care of you. There's a lot of transplants there.
Yeah,
like you're right. Like there's a lot of people that are just kind of in the area. We met a group of folks yesterday that were from Scotland that were in there.
Oh my God.
They were trying to go to Terry Black's barbecue, but they didn't want to wait in line in the heat, so they just walked on down. They walked like a half a mile. And they're like, "Where can we walk from here?" And I was like, "It's too hot for y'all to be walking. Like, you don't need to just get an Uber everywhere you go." But it's just a cool little bar, and it's a great spot to stop before you want to go into the craziness that can be ACL. Last year was the busiest I've ever seen it. So
really? Actually, I agree. Even being in the fest. Do you go to the fest?
I go to certain days. I usually go in to see what I want to see, and then I will get out.
That's the way to do it.
Like Sundays have always been like kind of an industry day.
Okay.
And a lot of service industry go and hang out, and you end up seeing people in the right spots if you're in the right spots. Yep. But Fridays and Saturdays, usually we're focused on other stuff going on in the city. There's a lot of influx of people, so there's a big game on usually Saturday.
100%.
So Sunday's kind of always the focus, but I'll go any day if the music's right.
Yeah. Well, another thing that I wanted to just dive into before we jump into the Keep Also Weird is just you. So the people watching, obviously they know you're involved with some of the greatest bars in Austin. I can give validation that you're a great guy.
That's nice.
Such a sweetheart.
That means the most.
You give me like true text. Like, how do I put this? You're a real man in a good way, and like you are nice and respect. You give me that Texas, like whenever, I don't know how to put it. So you don't see this nowadays. When Kelsey comes, he takes his hat off to say hi to her. And I really appreciate that. I know that you know the Texas culture because you can talk about all the different cities in Texas.
Yeah.
So I would just like for you to maybe give a little info on yourself, like where you were born, how you ended up in Austin, Texas, and maybe some stuff like that.
Well, man, if you're gonna give me that many compliments, I'm gonna be doing this every week with you. Thank you very much.
I would love to always have you on.
Man, I am from a very small Texas town, Granbury, southwest of Fort Worth. That's where Warrens is. Warrens is actually right next door to where I grew up. I grew up on a small farm, I guess, like 25 acres. Showed animals growing up. Had a very unique, I guess, childhood in a good way. Like, played a lot of sports. My dad was big in athletics. My mom was in gymnastics. Sports has always been a part. Like, I have an older brother. Sports has always been a part of our kind of family stuff. But then also, like, we showed llamas and goats and pigs, and like, so just a very unique way. We bred goats, and so, I mean, when I was a kid, I remember at the age of like 7 or 8 being like helping my mom pull baby goats and like birth kids, and
That's wild.
crazy. Yeah, probably birthed over 500 baby goats.
Wow.
And then in the summer we'd haul hay and shear llamas, and I easily have sheared over like 4,000, 5,000 llamas in my time. My dad's probably done over like, no lie, like over 50 to 75,000 llamas in his lifetime. And it's, again, like exotic animals, they got a lot of fiber on them. You got to get it off, they get hot, and it's just part of the Texas heat. We shouldn't have them here, but we do. It's supposed to be in Peru. And I can fast forward. High school was awesome, went to a small school, graduated with 55 kids, and we were a huge class.
No way.
Whenever I graduated from Toller is the name of the school. That's why I know so many little bitty towns, because that's like where I had to compete. I'd go to like Cross Plains and all over. Yeah, I went to Texas State, ran track at Texas State, walked on the football team for a semester.
No way.
Can't tell now, but I used to be quite fast.
I didn't know that.
And then actually,
what position you play?
I played wide receiver. I played
Okay.
X receiver. I was third string behind two guys that were extremely talented that ended up breaking the school record back-to-back years. Congrats.
If it wasn't for that, though.
Man, I don't. There's a day that there's a day where you realize that you're like a little outdone, and I was like, okay, I think that I could be a tackling dummy for the next 4 years, but I was much better at track, even though I really didn't love track. No one likes to run.
I was going to say,
but I was a decathlete because again, like coming from a small school, like one day they'd be like, hey, you should high jump today, and then you realize you're kind of good at high jump.
Oh,
Like,
that's funny.
it was interesting. I mean, in any given week in high school track, you could do 5 events and not know 2 of them that you were going to do when you walked up, because that's just how small schools work.
That's pretty cool, though. I like that you get to do.
Yeah, it was great, and it was like the decathlon is one of the only events in sports where you don't have to win a single event and you can win the event. You can get second, and third, and fourth in every category and get the most points out of everybody. So I was just really intrigued with that, like being well rounded is. And you can't let like one bad event ruin your whole 2 days of events. It's just 2 days. So
And that's almost like a life lesson. I actually say some of my success in today's day and world is actually from sports as well.
For sure.
I played varsity basketball, but I also in middle school I played football, golf, soccer, whatever. But anyway, I was a big believer in when things got challenging, sports taught me, no, you gotta work hard, you gotta practice, you gotta do those things.
Yeah, and there's back when we were kids, there was no like sports psychology going on where it was like, hey, take a breath, get your mind right. Like it was just, figure it out. Now it's really cool to see how far that's come. And even when I was, it was in 2011, I graduated Texas State. Like even how far like what was going on at school there, like the way that their outlook on things just really changed my outlook on performance. However you want to say that, for the bar, whatever. But if you're doing if you're operating at 85, 90% of your potential any given time, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And I think that's just an important way. Like you're not going to be 100% every day. So if you can just take the best you got today and push it a little bit, you're more than good.
And you even see that in high school sports. Like I saw a lot of kids quit teams just because things got challenging.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's that's not going to help you in life.
I think that that's a life lesson, right? It's like everybody has a plan till you get punched in the mouth. That's Mike Tyson, and it's great advice. And I think I wouldn't say that it's not that the new generation of folks, I sound like I'm getting old, but I'm not. The new generation of people are not mentally tough. I think they have a different way of handling it, and I think they're more open about talking about it. That's something that we were not good at. I feel like I wasn't good at.
No, you're right.
And our generation, and your dad's always toughen up, no crying in baseball. But the truth is, there's a lot of human element in everything that goes on. You don't know what somebody's going through, and so it's kind of cool to see the newer generation talking about these things in a different light, and the way that they handle it is just the way they're going to handle it. So
100%.
it's cool stuff.
And we got to learn from both, right? And that's also part of what we're going to be talking about today with the Austin Weird is some people are going to be like, Austin's definitely not weird nowadays, but one of the arguments is going to be that it's weird in a new way. This new generation's different. So I won't jump ahead, but I'm just tying that in.
No, for sure, man. And I mean, I could, not to speed this up, but I could just ramble for days. So
keep telling me, because I like, honestly, I think it's really important to spotlight people, and I think people are interested to know who we're talking to.
Just a little. Man, when I graduated, I moved to DC for a year, and I did not like that. I had a job doing headhunting, IT staffing.
That's what. So this is where I'm a little confused because I want to understand this. How do you go from farming to that?
Man, I was an exercise sports science major at Texas State.
Okay.
I had no idea what I wanted to do. I actually wanted to be a sports broadcaster. That was
cool.
The goal. And Dr. Fluker, one of the few professors I remember, talked to me out of that my first day of class in Mass Comm 101. And she was 100% right. She basically said, look, the industry of sports broadcasting is going more towards ex-athletes and female sideline reporters.
Damn.
And she was 100% right, by the way. It's amazing. I changed my major. Yeah. And she actually said, she was like, if you're in my class and you think you're going to be a sports broadcaster, you need to come talk to me after class. That was the first thing she said. And I was like, she's talking to me. So I went and talked to her, and we really did come up with a plan of I shouldn't be in that major. And I went to I was a mass comm minor at that point and exercise sports science major. So it wasn't a big deal, but it is weird just like how one thing, I don't say it changed my life, but it was a turning point where I was like, man, and I'm glad she did, because I don't think I would have done well in like the scene today and how it is. Like, I just really liked John Madden and wanted to say fun stuff. You know what I mean? Like when I was growing up, like, bam, and you're driving the whole way. Like, it's not like it is today, man. They're very, very, very good at what they do.
Oh, so, of course.
But yeah, it's just an interesting little combo. And then, yeah, like I bartended all through college. I didn't start as bartender. I want that to be made clear too. Like, you don't just start as bartender. Like you get to go work a bunch of free shifts on the worst days to hopefully have somebody call out on a Saturday, and you get to work a double and get your like first shift, and you're like, let's go.
Wow.
And like it's like that for a lot of people.
I was going to ask that earlier. Yeah, you do that with everybody you hire?
Man, we love to hire from within. I'm going to say something that might not be popular, but it's how I see it is we try not to hire, we try to poach. And like, I think it's an honor. I would be honored if somebody as a bartender came to me and was like, hey man, I know that you love it here, but like I would love for you to join our team. I think that just means a lot more than like, well, we're hiring somebody, come by. It's like, I mean, if you can go hand select somebody that you know is good and know he fits your culture, like,
how cool is that?
What are we doing? Like, yeah, go get them.
Yeah.
So, and to that point, like, if you have a good bartender out there and you think, well, I don't want somebody to steal them away, then do everything you can to keep them at your bar.
Yeah, like, they're not going to leave if they love their situation.
Correct. Make them happy. Like, if you need to pay them more because they're worth it, pay them more. Like, they're the 100% of your business, right? When you're not around. So it's just one of those things. Like, we have guys at both. Man, it's great to see like Joe, our bar back at Chalmers, who's done like, I can't express to you the level of attention to detail this guy has for what we do in the back of house. And like, that place runs so smoothly because of guys like Joe taking that extra time to be like, no, we need to move this here. It's a lot of Six Sigma. If you haven't looked into Six Sigma, like study of efficiency, there's a lot of that going on. But now Joe's getting to bartend on weekends because we have enough space to move him up. And like, to see that, man, that's what it's all about. Like, we have guys here that started on the floor, moved up to bar back, and then when we had our split with the bars going to Dainty and Chalmers, like they got to move into bartender, and so it's just awesome to see the growth. And I always tell people, like, if your only goal is to bartend for us for the rest of your life, I hope you have loftier goals. But we'd love to be that, that part that helps,
But also, I'm going to say, like, people don't realize you can make good money.
There's a few places in America where you can be a full-time bartender and
make more than other people with 9 to 5s.
And not even that, it's a socially acceptable thing. Chicago, you would never laugh in somebody's face for being a bartender in Chicago, New York, LA, Miami. But Austin in particular in Texas is one of the spots I feel like that's a well-respected profession because people know, one, how successful people can be. And also there's just a smaller pond. So the places that are really, really doing well, if somebody has, shifts there, they're making good money and like their job security is there. So it is really cool, but I agree. Like, I think that there's a lot of stigma around being bartender, and I mean, my parents did not love it. My mom always says I didn't send my son to school for 4 years so he could be a bartender. But after I moved back from DC, which again was like a shot in the pan, wanted to see, I just thought that's what everybody did. You're like, oh, you graduate. Yeah, I needed that to know, like, I'm not going to leave Texas again. It wasn't even about Texas as much as to being closer to family.
Yeah.
Anytime something happened and it was like a $700 round trip flight for a 21-year-old kid in DC, that's not cool. Moved to Dallas, tried to stay with the same job, ended up coming back like a year and a half after leaving, and worked with New York Life. No,
you understand,
suited and booted every day.
That was me.
We talked about this.
Yeah, yeah.
I luckily had a lot of suits because I worked at Brooks Brothers in college at down at Texas State, so that helped. But again, like I did New York Life, but I was bartending on the side to make ends meet because I just wasn't making enough there. Fast forward, like one day somebody just shakes you and you're like, why are you fighting this? Like, you love bartending. I knew a lot of people in the industry. I was chasing this Red Bull job I really wanted and finally got after several years. Yeah. 2016, I got the job Musketeer role. And it's just a different role. It's really cool. You can write people checks for like doing the right things for the company because it's not liquor. I got tickets to all the cool events. I'm a 26-year-old kid, and somebody hands you a card and they're like, go use that for the good of Red Bull and go have fun, and it's a lot of fun. So the industry, I mean, again, there's lots of roles outside of just ownership or bartending, whatever, that make this whole thing work that are really, really cool. And I think that just kind of like launched me into like, I think I could make a career out of this. And Biggie and me had been friends since I was at Dogwood. That's like 2013, 2012. Wow. man, I'm feeling old, but it's happened quick. So we play golf together. Again, just kind of all comes back to sports a little bit. But like if you find somebody you can play golf with twice a week and get along the whole time, like that's a pretty big deal.
That is a big deal.
We had a lot of the same complaints about the bar scene and a lot of the same complaints about, you know, where we worked and how we operated. And I think that's just, again, like not everybody on their off days is just sitting here churning and burning through like why we have bottles where we have them on the back bar in the wells and like,
yeah.
So again, it's just, it all kind of comes full circle, and it's been cool to, when we put one of these places together, like me and Biggie and Cade sit down and design and the layout and where we want the wells and walk in and how it's all supposed to be done. And like, it's, I think people are like, man, where did y'all learn all this? And it's like, we've just grinded it for like 15 years and realized that like, it's dumb to have stuff here because you need the walkway. You know, why do we have these chairs here? Why are the, you know, why aren't the railings this way instead of that way? It's making a bottleneck. Bathrooms are always a bottleneck. How do we make them more efficient? Like, it's just stuff that keeps you up at night when you see it, right?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the flaws with the Austin bar scene nowadays is you get a lot of people that, one, aren't from here, or two, they're just guys that made money on other stuff, and they're like, I want to open a bar. Austin's a good bar scene.
They're not,
and it's like you weren't in it. Like
not,
you were.
Man, let's just take the bar out of it. That's a lot more industries, and I think people are excited to admit.
Sure, great point.
The bar is just one of those things that everybody fantasizes, like, what a cool thing. And it is cool. I wouldn't change
you
what
see
I
that
do
a lot,
for
right?
anything. And I say it differently. I think it's hard for the money guys to sometimes take a step back and say, like, why would I trust this 22-year-old bartender when I'm putting my money in? I'm smart. I made the money. I'm a smart guy. But, like, stay in your lane, right? Like, that's always a complaint of ours is, if you want to go open a bar, you know, kick ass, like, love it, do it. I'm a prime example. I love what I do. But if you want to open a bar with people that know what they're doing, like, let them do their job. Right?
Yeah, bring the right people in.
Yeah, and that could go to any profession. It doesn't have to just be bars. But you see it everywhere. You know, hopefully people don't go under. Hopefully people like make a mistake that can be fixed, and, you know, maybe hire the right person to come in and make that, you know, operate the right way. But it's also a lot of flips, right? Like, you get a bar that somebody might have built that, like you said, they just put money into it, and then how does a GM of a bar, how is he ever going to own his own spot if he doesn't have just a ton of money or able to put together a pitch deck and get investors, which is really, really hard as well. Like, there's no entry level. There's no food truck for bartending. There's no, like, well, I'm a chef. I'm going to buy a $40,000 food truck, go make my menu, and then if people like it, I'm going to get a brick and mortar because I have proof of concept.
Yeah.
If you're a really good bartender or a really good GM, it's really a challenge for you to get your feet into something unless you take a big chance and a risk. But a lot of times you'll get a situation like that where it's like, this thing ain't working, need your help, and figure it out.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you giving me your story a little bit. The reason why I invited him on is because, like I said, successful bar owner out here, you know what you're doing. Armadillo Den fits Austin, Texas so well, and it only felt right to talk about this on the episode where we're going to dive into Keep Austin Weird. And I knew that you're going to have a different outlook than I do, so I think we can bounce off of each other, and that makes today's topic very fun.
I also want to preface this with, I appreciate you thinking of me. There's going to be, I'm going to catch a lot of slack no matter what I say on this, because there's got to be some dudes that are old heads that know a lot more about this than I do. So I'm going to give you the best I can remember and from what I've gotten. But I know, like, a Max Moreland or KC from Liberty, or, man, the list goes on, Bridget Dunlap, like they have a lot of these memories as well. So this is just my version. So please give me some grace if you don't mind.
Exactly. Keep Austin Weird, the motto that everybody knows. It's known around the country. So we're going to dive into a little bit of the history. And I looked it up. They said it was by a guy named Red Wasenick. And he was a college librarian. Of course. And he called into the local radio show, and he was donating to them. And they were like, well, why are you donating to us? And he said, I just want to keep Austin weird. And he had no intentions of it becoming something bigger, but it just caught on. They loved it. I guess everybody listening to the radio loved it.
I mean, everybody was back then, so it's fine. You know?
It was, radio shows were, that was like before.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was what we're doing, but before.
Yeah. So that was like so cool. And I'm sure, like, with the college aspect and all that stuff, like, radio shows were even more important than other towns. And then I guess because of that little, like, excitement people had around it, him and his wife ended up making bumper stickers saying "Keep Austin Weird," and had that going around the city, and it kind of like took off from there.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of, I mean, in the timing of this too, it feels like this was eons ago, but it was not as far back. After talking about, looking at what we're going to be talking about today, like doing a little dive of myself, I did not know it was only in 2000 that all this kind of took off.
I originally, like, if you just asked me before I knew, I would have been like 1970,
50s. Like I had no idea. So it is interesting. And then, you know, I guess Waterloo Records was handing those bumper stickers out like candy. So everybody was kind of pushing the same agenda, and it's a cool thing. I mean, I remember coming to basketball camp when I was in high school in Austin, and like everybody had Keep Austin Weird shirts on, and I was just like, it's just weird to see that, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's goal is to try to be as weird and outlier, and it's a place for, you know, people that want to be weird, and I think that's, you know, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that makes me think, you know, thinking it might have been the 70s versus 2000. Do you think it's because that's when Austin was starting to make a little bit of a turn to be different, and that's why he was like, I got to make this push for it?
You know, I don't know how forward thinking he was, but it was a visionary nonetheless. I think there's a lot of stuff that happened in Austin before 2000 that made it very weird, or made it a community that I would consider weird. And, you know, we kind of talked a little earlier about just the artists that are in town here, the places where they would, you know, produce their said art. Like you had the Armadillo World headquarters, you had like Threadgills. There's so many little places that are no longer here, but were a huge part of the culture and growing that Austin culture for artists to land and do what they do. So, you know, it'd been weird for a long time. And I think that someone finally came up with a slogan that fit.
It fits perfectly. And I thought this was a fun little fact that I found out, but Austin invented that. And Portland, 3 years later in 2003, came out with Keep Portland Weird.
It's just straight forgery is what it is. And, you know, first of all, I thought it was Portland, Maine, but then I realized there's two Portlands. There's no other Austins out there. It's just Austin, Texas. We are the original. So, you know, always duplicated, you know, never, I don't know that saying, but you know what I'm trying to say here. They're just not going to get it done like we can. I do think Portland has a cool dive bar scene. Biggie's up there right now doing some cool dive bar hangout. But as far as, you know, just straight stealing our anthem, if you will, that's pretty rough, Portland. It's pretty low, Portland.
100%.
We'll be talking about that.
And I'll say this, you know, even before I lived here in Austin, I knew it was Keep Austin Weird. I've never heard Keep Portland Weird. So, and I did search, do they still like say that out in Portland? And supposedly they do. It's still a thing out there.
No, if I'm out there, they better not be saying it. It's on site. It's not
literally. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That's wild. Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that made Austin the most weird was Leslie on 6th Street. And I kind of came up during that timeline. I went to school from Texas State from 2007 to 11. And I remember, man, 2008 and 9, walking around 6th Street, and Leslie would be there taking photos, and was just like a whole show. I mean,
and that's a great point. So we're gonna dive into like what made Austin weird, but can you also just tell them, for the people who don't know, who is Leslie?
Leslie is an icon. Was a gentleman who would cross dress. I hope I'm saying all this right. So don't crucify me. I'm doing my best. He would come out in dresses and thongs and, you know, fairy wings and crowns, and was just like kind of a drifter, kind of I wouldn't say homeless. I don't think he was. But I do know that like he was called a sideshow on 6th Street. You know, in New York, you have like the naked cowboy everybody wants to see, get a photo, and like Leslie was that to Austin. I mean, he'd be walking around just being a character and knew all the door guys and was very, very sweet to everybody. There's another, you know, I mean, there's several of these in Austin, but Leslie, I think, was the like OG. Everyone from all over Texas, if you've been to 6th Street, talked about Leslie. And I mean, I remember nights big old drunk cowboys would roll out of a bar and Leslie'd be kissing them on the cheek, getting photos, and like everybody had been drinking and having a good time. And it's like almost like you talked about earlier with Willie Nelson and the, you know, the hippies and rednecks. Like there's just this kind of energy around when you are being weird and you're being outgoing and having fun on a Saturday night in Austin, that like it is weird, man. And it's supposed to be fun. You know, maybe you end up going somewhere to a dive late at night and getting weird food that you don't remember getting the next day. But like, there's just a lot of weird to it that I don't think you don't have to put a name to it. It's just like, man, that was a weird night. Like, Leslie just kind of encompassed all that for us.
That's great. And I don't want to get political, because I'm not a political person. I mean,
and we're drinking.
We're drinking. Yeah. So, but I'm going to say this. No, I'm kidding. But I've heard some stories of like people are like, Leslie's a legend, but some people are like, I didn't like Leslie. And I wasn't around during that time, so I can't say anything. But are you familiar with any of that? Or was it just more of just like, probably everybody's out getting wild?
Yeah, you know, like there's critics for everything, and like can't please them all, right? And I don't think Leslie lost any sleep over people who didn't think fondly. So I don't know. I think it's the same thing. Like there's something, being embarrassed or being uncomfortable is not something that we as humans like to do. And I think Leslie was so on the other side of that spectrum that like a lot of people probably didn't understand it and didn't like it. And like, that's fine. Like you don't have to.
Yeah, there's always going to be those people like you said.
Yeah. But and also I think it's like talking about ACL, there's people at ACL Fest that are dancing like crazy, and I don't love to dance in public, but I always look at them and I'm like, that guy's having like the time of his life, and like I can't get over that. And so I'm, it's almost like you got to do a cannonball in the pool, or do you dip your toe? And like Leslie was a cannonball in the pool, and so some people just didn't love that. And I think it's cool. I think that's what makes Austin, and I think that it's just all the more into what being weird is about, right? It's like just being comfortable in your own skin, and like you don't like it, screw you, man. Like
100%.
That's what we're doing. So.
And that's one thing, right? So there's like many characters in Austin that makes Austin weird. Another big factor is events.
Yeah, lots.
And that you don't see in other cities or other states, right?
Yeah, we can start with the easy one like ACL. I don't think that's as weird as it used to be by any means. I always talk about Fun Fest.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
Man, one of the cooler events I think Austin ever was known for. The guys from Mohawk were originally the ones who put it on. But like, talk about a thing that they just used the word fun and just said, is that going to be fun? And if the answer is yes, they would do it.
That's so cool.
So, I mean, there were tons of different bands, like Run DMC played, Flaming Lips played. So big name bands that would come through, but then there might be a comedy set in the middle. There might be a magician in the middle of the crowd just walking around doing magic tricks. I want to say pretty regularly they would do like a BMX competition where like it was like BMX dudes on ramps out there in the middle.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
And it's like so awesome. It's such an Austin thing to just take all these different cultures and just throw them in a gumbo pot and be like, I bet if you like the Flaming Lips, you'll also like comedy. And I bet if you like that, you'd like to watch this guy do a flare on a BMX bike. Like, you're right. Like, I do think, that's really sick. Man, and it's, these events are hard to put on. Sponsors are hard to get for these kind of things. I think the last year they had it was like 2015, but I would love to see them bring that back.
That would be cool.
Like so crazy, man. And it was just a really, really well done event where, I think the goal was just to have fun. Like, since it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
So, but that's one that always sticks out.
So as you can see, we decided to scoot on over. That's the Texas sun for you.
It's always gonna find you. No matter how long you think it's gonna be shady here, it'll catch up to you.
But we're doing good. We're doing good. So the other thing I wanted to bring up was Eeyore's birthday is another event that I feel like represents why Austin is weird. And yeah, I'm sure there's a couple small towns or something that have done crazy events like this, but it feels so weird and special. And that one was some UT students.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to have a picnic, and they just thought it would be funny to celebrate Eeyore's birthday from Winnie the Pooh. And it turned into a 60-year tradition.
It's so cool. And it's also like, of all the people to celebrate, Eeyore probably needs it the most.
Yeah.
Like, that dude's always down in the dumps. And it's nice to see people celebrate his birthday. Like, Pooh doesn't get that, but Pooh gets love all the time, right?
Yep.
Eeyore really deserves it. And, people love that. I mean, I can't say that I've been to Eeyore's birthday at Peace Park, which I know is an awesome time, but I definitely know people that have left Peace Park on Eeyore's birthday. They'll usually come to the bars and they look like they've been hanging out at Eeyore's birthday all day.
What I find it interesting, I mean, obviously it's like drum circles, live music. Nowadays they even have like alcohol brands there, and it's become such a bigger thing. But it makes me laugh because you go and you're going to smell like weed everywhere, and it's a kid-friendly event.
Yeah. I don't have kids, so I'm not going to tell people what to do with their kids.
Of course.
But there's some events you could probably leave the kids at home. And I won't say ACL because there's so many areas you can get out of the way, but like there's moments at ACL I'm like, if your kid's fast enough, you're never going to find that thing.
Yeah.
Like, he gone.
Yeah.
Last year was, like I said, so busy. I saw people with their kids, and I just remember being like, man, if I had like a 12-year-old and he just decided he was going to run off, like he literally just disappeared into the night. So it is weird. Maybe Eeyore's birthday, not for kids. Again, not going to say.
But yeah, that's one of the things that makes Austin unique.
I love the another one that I think is just like I never have done, but it is a cool day. Is like the national, like the kite day that they have.
Oh yeah, Zilker.
Kite Fest, where like I make a point to drive by Mopac so I can like see all these kites being flown at the same time, and that's just like a very Austin community thing of the thing to do today. everybody goes and gets a kite and goes and flies them. And then there's people that have like badass kites that are like really into
Some
kiting.
of those are wild.
Yeah, that are like huge. One year, a guy, his kite got so high, they just had to let it go. I thought that was wild too.
That's cool.
They're like, you can't get it back. Like the tension was so strong. They're like, it's gonna snap. It's just like, again, just a cool thing. Like not everybody does. Any city could do it.
Yeah, any city could do it.
But they don't. And like Austin
and
goes out of their way to do it.
Maybe like New York's going to have like one weird thing going on, and Portland probably has, but we have so many of them, You know what
I've seen in New York a lot lately that I think Austin could easily, someone should do it. Maybe they have. And
maybe
if they
this
have,
is the
tag them in below. I don't know. But like there's a guy, the Cheeseball, Mr. Cheeseball. Have you seen this guy?
No.
He like literally puts flyers all around. He's like Central Park, watch me eat an entire thing of cheese balls at 2:00 Sunday. And he shows up in a mask and like a suit. Thousands of people show up to cheer this guy on while he eats like a whole thing of puffballs. And I mean, literally, like by the time he finishes, people are like putting him on their shoulders.
Oh
like they do like it's hilarious.
That's
it's really
amazing.
Cool. Someone in Austin, please steal the idea. I'll come. I'd love to see you eat a whole thing of cheese balls. But yeah, like there's just, again, I think there's a lot of weird out there.
Yep. Yeah, like what did they do? The celebrity lookalike competitions are now.
That's a great one. Like those are super fun.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I could be like the caddy from Happy Gilmore. That would be my lookalike.
So accurate. That's so.
But
funny.
I don't. I know. I just can't compete in those very often. So it's hard to do.
Bat
Fest. Bat Fest has been going on a long time, and there's always some great music at Bat Fest. It's always on the bridge. It always seems to be on the weekend that I really need to go over Congress Bridge like 6 times. And I'm like, man, what is going on? I'm like, oh yeah, everybody on this
I also always miss
road.
it. Like,
we just had it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was like, it was Saturday, and I think I was going to go to a bar, and then it like popped up as an ad or something. I'm like, damn it, I would have.
I know, I would have gone.
Yeah.
Giovanni, shout out Giovanni, the Hired Guns, used to play at our bars, and they actually played this year.
No way.
Not the final. They didn't headline, but they were like right on the opening for the headliner.
I saw they had Waka Flocka.
That's right, Waka Flocka Flame. And again, like that's weird.
That's weird.
That fits our thing today of staying in weird. I think, again, there's more out there that's going on that's weird. I think it's just that we have seen it so many times now.
Yep.
Kind of like we were talking about earlier, like the things that were weird back in the day, you had to be on site with your own eyes to see. Like nobody was taking videos of Leslie on their cell phone, and towards the end of his career, the career of Leslie. But like nowadays, you just see so much weird stuff. Like I would have never seen that New York cheese ball guy, but because TikTok and I don't have TikTok, but Instagram Reels and all that exist, and I'm just a scroll guy. Then you see all this stuff, and it kind of takes the weird edge off, I guess, where it's like everything kind of feels weird now. I just see it all the time. It's on your phone every day. So
great point.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if this is the perfect transition, but it just made me think of it. And that's Austin was, or still kind of is, but it really was in the past, a small town.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more affordable.
Yeah.
So musicians and like artists could afford to live here while still focusing on that little dream that they had. And obviously nowadays that's not the case anymore. But I think that invited a lot more weird people to be here that were a little more outgoing.
For sure.
And,
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of pockets of that in town. I think that, that is kind of the story of a town that's growing as fast as Austin is. I think you're going to price musicians out quickly, and it also goes to bartenders, like service industry. Those people kind of get the short end of the stick. The culture in the city is built around, again, I think the hospitality brand, whether that's
100%.
I always say bartenders are kind of like, the easiest way for you to get to know our city is to talk to the bartenders, and they're going to tell you where to go and who to see, and like they're ambassadors for the city. I think that if you lose some of these great bartenders and great musicians and great artists, great street artists, like because they can't live here, that takes a lot of the culture out. And there's always been landing zones for people. Marfa was one of the first ones where everybody was like, we're going to Marfa, we're doing it. I don't know if you've ever been to Marfa, but it is a long drive to get out to Marfa. The newer one that I think is more popular, maybe not the Marfa, but I think is more popular currently is Lockhart.
Okay.
Man, there's like 3 or 4 art galleries on the square of Lockhart, which is really cool.
I've been there a couple times, but mostly for the bars.
Yeah, next time grab a drink, go in an art gallery. It's really nice. But yeah, I mean, you got Barb's BQ, you got Old Pal. I know Tober and them are working on another concept out there as well. Love the Best Little Wine Shop. Always stopping in CK there, and Chicken. Shout out Chicken because I love that little dog. But yeah, again, like there's, unfortunately, unless you have a way to subsidize your lifestyle so that you can live closer to downtown, like we talked about earlier, maybe you're an accountant that on the weekends plays in a band.
Yep.
If you're trying to be a full-time artist that's getting paid, it's really, really, really hard to do in any city, but especially one that's growing as fast as Austin and
Yep.
where the rent's jumping through the roof as quick as it has. So, I don't think there's a great way to get around that. I know that like Ham Day is Tuesday. I don't know when this shows, but like this Tuesday is Ham Day. And there's lots of people like Ham and BMI that we pay to hopefully subsidize people that need that extra help that are trying to be full-time musicians and full-time artists. But man, it's an uphill climb for sure.
For sure. And that was a big factor. I mean, I just, from the stories I read, like I said, I wasn't around in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I was born in 1990.
89.
You were 89?
89.
Okay.
I just caught the 1 year, 6 months of the 80s, so I
Wow.
can say it. Yeah.
And you remember those days.
Oh, absolutely. The Cowboys were great. Yeah, and I think to give a little tip of the hat to some of those older places, we talked about Willie a few times. Like, Willie is a huge part of the culture of Austin, not just because of his music, but, like, I think we didn't get to see Willie on the come up, right? We've caught Willie on the back end, and every time you see Willie, I always, hope it's not the last because he's just up in age to the point of, he's not going to play as much.
I know.
And when Willie was really coming up, that's when we talk about these hippies and rednecks kind of having to like get along to see this artist.
Yeah, he helped create that, right?
Yeah, you talked about a line earlier. It's actually a pretty big quote from the Armadillo World Headquarters. It's something that kind of inspired us for this space at Armadillo was there's plenty of room for sitting, there's plenty of room for dancing. And what it meant was you had all these rednecks that wanted to go in two-step to, Willie's two-step music and honky-tonky music, but you also had all these hippies that wanted to get high and sit there and just watch this guy who they thought was a great songwriter. But that clash of, cultures was weird. The hippies would sit in the front, being stoned, not paying attention, guys two-stepping behind them, and at one of the shows at Armadillo World Headquarters, there was a fight that broke out. Willie stops the show, and he says, "Hey, y'all, if y'all can't get along, y'all got to go, but there's plenty of room for sitting, there's plenty of room for dancing." And that was kind of like the keep it weird, keep Austin weird of the early days of getting everybody getting along and just being there to be part of something cool like, the music and be part of that night. So
yeah, Willie Nelson bringing rednecks and hippies together. I don't love the word rednecks, but I mean, that was used back then.
I think people can use it. I don't know. I don't know. Again, like if we're offending you, just get out of here. I don't think Willie meant anything bad by it. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm a honky tonker and I'm also kind of a hippie, and I can see those crowds not
100%.
getting along all the time, and that's just like the Keep Austin Weird was maybe that anthem that brought all that weirdness together. Like Willie being able to do that, very similar. So.
And Willie was not from Austin, from what I was reading, but he is from Texas. But then he moved to Austin. And
artists wanted to get closer to where the art was, and it falls right back in. It's like, I'm sure that he was probably driving a long ways to come play music and was like, I could just live in town and do this better. And there's a ton of those guys. I don't want to try to talk to Armadillo World Headquarters because there's decades of history that I would miss and get wrong, and people could light me up over it. So I just know that it is a cultural hub of Austin, that Austin would not be where it is today without spots like that.
Yeah. So. Another big artist I was reading about was Janis Joplin.
Absolutely. She played at Threadgill's. Another great spot. Same guy that owned Threadgill's also owned Armadillo World Headquarters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was reading that she was a little more of like the hippie side before she blew up, and I think she moved to... I think it's
I think she's from Beaumont.
Okay.
But man, again, I might get that wrong.
And then I think she went to UT.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said she would play in like coffee shops around Austin, Texas, and she would just wear her dresses with no shoes. She was one of those people that was like a free spirit, and I think it was like maybe LA or something before she officially blew up and became the big star that she was.
Yeah.
But they said that she was just like a local hippie playing at places.
I heard she played Hole in the Wall as well, which is just an awesome venue. They've redone the Hole in the Wall. If you haven't been in the last couple of years,
yeah, they have something in the back.
They have like a huge stage in the back. We went the other day. I did not know there was going to be a heavy metal show, and we sat there and watched a heavy metal show. Keep Austin Weird. It was great. Yeah. It was like a Sunday at 2:00. Had a blast. So again, like just there's all these little bubbles that have tons of history tied in, and as much as we like to go to the new spots, like I always try to tip my hat to all the older spots in town. Like Deep Eddy Cabaret is always on my list. You'll see me there anytime during the week. Don's Depot as well. I try to drop through Hole in the Wall and spots like that if I haven't been there in a while. We got to keep seeing, got to go see these spots. If you don't, next time you say, well, I can't believe that place went out of business. Like, when was the last time you went? Like, when was the last time you went and ate there? I mean, we go to Texas Chili Parlor at least once a month. Sometimes I try to go twice, 3 times a month just to like make sure that they're still making Mad Dog margaritas. Like, and they are.
I get that as a complaint as being a creator, and I like to consider myself different than other creators, but every once in a while I get people that are like, don't ruin my spot. And I'm like, what do you even mean by that?
Yeah, that's
and then it's
a very selfish thing to say.
It's a selfish thing to say, and then 2, I'm like, when was the last time you went? Well, they're like, well, I haven't gone in like 6 months, but
yeah, okay.
It's like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it is weird. It can't please them all.
Yeah.
But I think if those people are doing what they say, which is going to those spots and taking care of it, then everybody's doing what they're supposed to. Like, we talked about BS Saloon earlier. Like, I mean, that's my neighborhood before I go home. Little last stop and say what's up to the staff and get some Tommy Want Wingy and go home. Or maybe Sandy's. Love Sandy's.
Sandy's.
But yeah, it's just you got to keep dropping into these spots.
Yeah.
If not, when they're gone, you're part of the problem.
Yep.
You're not in traffic. You are traffic.
Yep. I was thinking about all these like things that make Austin weird, and a mixture of the two, I guess, is the chicken shit bingo.
Yeah, Jenny's Longhorn Saloon.
Longhorn Saloon, yeah.
Great spot.
I think somebody did an interview. It was Franklin, Aaron Franklin from Franklin's Barbecue. He said that's like his #1 favorite Austin spot.
I wouldn't doubt it, and it's such a cool spot. Lala's is awesome. Excuse me, as well. It's kind of up in that. They have a new Lala's South, which is great.
I haven't been to the South one yet.
Yeah, it's really well done. Max and his guys always do a great job. But I think again, like a couple of those little bitty spots. Like if you don't know, how would you know to go? But once you go, you're like, I would like to be here every day.
Yeah.
We were talking about the people we meet just out and about because you're such a melting pot of people that come through. We met a big group of people from Scotland yesterday at BS Saloon, and they asked us where to go, and I sent them to Deep Eddy Cabaret, and the guy texted me there that night and was like, mate, that was like exactly what we wanted. And so it is just cool to see people appreciate the history of Austin and like not everybody wants to go to a nightclub and do bottle service all the time. And, we don't do that well in Austin, really, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot of places that do bottle service really well. Yeah. Let's stay in our lane of, like, what we do well. So.
And I get it. Sometimes that downtown does feel like a different animal compared to the rest of Austin. And that goes back to the Nashville thing, right? Like, Nashville has Broadway. It's very popular on that street. And I know they have outskirts, but Austin really has outskirts. Sure. And I mean, like, you can go to East Austin, you can go to South Austin, you can go to North Austin, and there's going to be these little hubs of bars that are special. So the challenge I've noticed in Austin is that the city has blown up very fast, and there's been an influx of people trying to open bars.
Yeah.
And not all of them are always busy. So people visit from outside, and then they'll be like, oh, I thought Austin was a party city. Nowadays, you kind of got to know where to go. Unless you get lucky on a Saturday night and you go to like just a street that's popping, sure. But if you're here on a Wednesday night, that's why I like what you said. Talk to the bartender. Yeah. Because you're going to be like, hey, this is, we're happy
on a good night. Yeah, here's where you go for happy hour these days. Yeah, I mean, again, it's like, you gave me a good compliments earlier. I think that like guys in your role are helping get the word across to like what to do, and no one's using radio stations anymore, right? Like, I think we have to be creative in how we get what our programming is out into the world, and there's not a great way to do that unless we're utilizing all the tools. And y'all are, influencers, if we want to call it that, content creators are great tools and great assets. And I think you've told me some stories off camera about, the success that you've seen with some of these spots. It's really cool to see, man. And so it is true. Talk to the bartender, but, I appreciate you're very focused, laser focused in your niche, and it's a big niche for what we do in town. So it's important. So
I appreciate that.
I have now returned the pat on the back.
Thank you. And I've always said that about me. Like, the one thing I'm passionate about is I was just doing this for fun. Some influencers, they do it for the wrong reasons. They wanted to be an influencer. Yeah. So then they're forcing this, like, what's going to look cool online? Yeah. And me, I'm the opposite. I just go out for fun. Yeah. And wherever that fun takes me, it might be me and my girlfriend doing two-step. Yeah, fun fest. Whatever the fun is, I'm going to do. And I try my best to keep that ingrained in me. Don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, there's a new bar that pops up, and I want to go and tell people.
Yeah, of course.
But for the most part, it's just us exploring.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
So yeah, I just feel like it was pretty clear why Austin used to be weird. But the big question today is Austin still weird? And I think we should kind of really hit both points first. Yeah. And then we'll give our opinion on if we think it is. But first, I mean, let's talk about why Austin, people say, is no longer weird, or why it's changed so much. And I think, let's just talk about the big one. And I think it's just the growth of the city led to rising costs. And that might have pushed artists out. that brought in some of the young entrepreneurs that some people, what do they call them, yuppies? You know, so you got like these young rich kids that are from other cities that heard Austin's cool, so then they moved here with their parents' money. So it's like a little mix of factors of like the growth of the city kind of hurts that small town weirdness. Do you agree?
It's like a revolving door, right? We want like Samsung, we want the Tesla, we want all these things that make our city a tech hub and, you know, make it to where there's good paying jobs and people want to come through. But in doing so, we also kind of cut the legs out from our culture and call it gentrify, if you will. Like people have to find places to live where it makes sense for them to you know, make a paying living. So it's tough. I think we're not the only city that's dealt with it. I think we're not the only city that's going to continue having to deal with it. I think that there's so much culture in Austin that it's more noticeable, right? So it's tough. I don't know. I don't have an answer at all for how you make it better, other than continually trying to like pay artists when you see them, tip people when you are able to, maybe go to a farmer's market and try to make that part more like part of your culture of going around, like supporting. That's the best way to do it, right?
That's
is just supporting the people that same way that I say go support one of these bars because you want to see it stick around. Like if you want to see more art, when was the last time you purchased art? When was the last time you went to an art show? I just got back from one. It was awesome. The West Fest. Man, it was really, really cool. And I think, again, the more that was out of my comfort zone, but it didn't feel weird. It was just something that I don't know a lot about and wanted to see if I enjoyed it, and I had a great time. So get out of your comfort zone and maybe go see a show, go to see a heavy metal show in the middle of a Sunday that you didn't know. And,
exactly.
I follow those kids on Instagram now, and they have like 50 followers, and I'm one of them. And like, if they blow up, I'm going to tell everybody like I was
the best.
Early on the scene. So I think there's just a lot people can do if you are passionate about keeping it weird or passionate about keeping it feeling smaller town. And I would challenge you to see if you're doing those things before you are the one that says it's not weird anymore and it's not the same. Like, well, what's changed? Maybe you've changed.
That's such a great point.
Or maybe it's not the city.
And I'm not talking about the weird thing, but I get that a lot, especially on social media, is where people are like, Austin used to be so much better.
Oh, there's going to be people in the comments of whatever we post here that are going to say they didn't know, they weren't around. Like, man, it hasn't. The nuts and bolts haven't changed. It's live music.
Yep.
It's good people. It's cold beer. It's going out and like maybe, again, getting out of your comfort zone, doing something that you wouldn't normally do. Call it Eeyore's birthday. Call it flying a kite. Call it going to Esther Follies and seeing a show.
These are still things that happen.
That you can still do these things. It's just up to you if you want to do them.
Yep.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of weirdness that's floating around that wants to be seen. So get out there and see it.
That's a great point. I mean, just from my experience of going to other cities, there's still a big art scene out here.
Sure.
There's a lot of artists that are trying to grow. I do agree that you could argue it's not as affordable as it used to be for those artists. And that's what confuses me about the Nashville thing, is that it does feel like Nashville. There's 5 stories. Every single bar has somebody playing.
Yeah.
And it's probably because they're doing numbers. But it is sad that, you can't go to 6th Street at 5 o'clock and every bar has a guy on a guitar.
Yeah.
Because it's not affordable anymore.
It's hard. And I think it's kind of like you're tightening the screws from both ends, right? We just talked about it. Like historical Sixth in general is having down numbers just because of, one, it's down this year across the board. Less young people are drinking. Less young people are drinking in excess like we used to, when we were in college, which leads to us selling more NAs and us selling more, like doing different events that aren't necessarily what we've been doing for the last decade. But that being said, it's like, I think there's still lots of room for growth in just going out and seeing a show, seeing a live show, seeing, catching some new art. I think there's just a lot more of that in the city than we probably promote and talk about. But having a band every single day, 5-6 hours a day, and then not getting the sales from that, and paying the band and paying a sound guy, and a speaker blows, and now you got to buy a new speaker. Like, these things are just it's very, very challenging, and I think that's where less and less people get excited about that challenge. So when you see somebody playing live music, like, really try to go out of your way to tip the band, go out of your way to tell the bartender that you like the band if you like them. Give them a follow on Instagram. Sometimes that's free.
Yep.
That costs $0 for you to do, and it really means the world to like these guys that are probably need a little pat on the back. So go above and beyond if you see something you like, and make sure it doesn't go away.
Is there any other reasons you can think of for why Austin might not be weird anymore, or is just not as weird as it used to be?
I think we see a lot more online that like makes it hard for us to get shock and awe anymore, right? Like, there's plenty that go on. I sent you a video yesterday because we were talking about this episode.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm sitting at BS Saloon, and there's a gentleman in his underwear and a cowboy hat, and he's dancing with a sign that says "honk if you're weird," which is awesome because it's like literally right on point.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like while I'm trying to take a photo of this guy's running by, like just in his afternoon run with his headphones in, stops, high fives the dude, and then starts dancing with him for like 45 minutes. They dance next to each other, and everybody's honking, and like it was a really cool thing just because we were talking about being weird.
Yeah.
So again, like I think there's a lot out there. We see it so much all the time on our phones that like sometimes it's right in front of you, and like it just needs to like slap you to let you know it's right there. What about you?
I'm just trying to think of like the big reasons, and it just feels like just because the city grew so much, but I still think it has like a new age weirdness. So I'm just seeing, before we jump into why it's still weird, or we kind of are talking a little bit about that already, but I just can't think of any other reasons why it's just not what it used to be if we're connecting it to just how culture has changed.
Yeah.
It's like, of course it's not what it used to be, but either is like, I talk to people from the Northeast, they used to be like, Brooklyn was a place for artists and hipsters and all this stuff. Yeah. So it's like that changed too. So
it changes everywhere.
People think it's just Austin.
The only thing that stays the same is change. Like it's always going to be that way. And again, I think that it's less about how it used to be and more about like, are you doing anything to make it better for the now or the future?
Yep. And
are you seeking out these things? Maybe the weird isn't the word that is what Austin is anymore. Maybe it's, keep Austin artistic, right? Like keep Austin artists here, keep, live music here. Those are the concerns I have more than the weird. And maybe that is weird.
Yeah.
Maybe like that's what makes it weird is all these people trying to come in here and do their thing. But I don't know. I think there's a lot more of it out there than people see, just because again, like you see what you want to put on your algorithm. And I don't think it's showing you Eeyore's birthday if you're not looking for Eeyore's birthday. So you just gotta have to seek it out a little bit.
Yep. And let's jump to the positives a little bit for why it is weird. And I know we said a couple points already, but I think it is a beautiful thing that like every new company wants to start in Austin. I got this new app idea. And there's a reason for that, because Austin is, one, obviously just a popular city, but two, people are open to that stuff. And you're not going to find that in a lot of other cities.
Yeah, I think it's a great spot as someone who is kind of I hate using the word entrepreneur, but like a young entrepreneur, like there's no better place than Austin in the state of Texas to start a business. You're taken very serious at a young age if you have good ideas. Austin in general having some of the more educated, workforce with kids from UT, St. Ed's kids are extremely intelligent as well. Like all the colleges in town all these kids are here to grow and see what they want to do for the rest of their life. And like, if you wanted to try something now, like at 22 years old, 24 years old, like this is the town to try it.
Yep.
I don't know. Like there's just an energy about, things that can blow up in Austin and really take off and do well. I always use it again from the bar standpoint. I don't know a lot of bars in Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, anywhere that came to Austin and opened and did really well. But everywhere in Dallas and Houston, there's a couple of little Austin bars that are doing really well. And again, I think that speaks volumes to our hospitality, but it's also because Austin, we're a city of dreamers and a city of people that are like, if you can dream it, you can do it, go get it, So
that's still there.
Very weird. It's not normal. So that checks weird box for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
And a good example, I don't know if you're familiar, there's these guys with Secret Disco.
Absolutely. I was going to talk about Secret Disco and Mushroom Cowboy. Like, those are weird events.
It's like the new age weird.
It's the new age weird.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, I think that Jurassic Park, life finds a way. Like some of these bars that have been having some down numbers or down years, like that's a way that they've subsidized a lot of their business. And like, well, this is new. We're going to try it. And if it doesn't work, at least we tried something.
Yep.
But the truth is they're working, and they're working very well. And I mean, you're seeing these guys open at 9 in the morning with coffee and energy drinks and juices and more of a healthy lifestyle. But with DJs and still the big part of that community, which I think is super important for anything you're trying to do in Austin. So that's weird. And that's cool.
Yep.
And it's our new age, weird, cool thing that we're doing. So
Exactly.
I'm all for it, man. It's such an awesome thing that they've kind of built.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And Secret Disco, if you're not familiar, they do these pop-up events. It's mostly EDM, electronic music. And they did one at Pete Terry's the other day,
Yeah.
which was like a rave there.
They did one at Royal Blue.
Oh yeah, I went to that one.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that was so fun. We literally were like
That's so
grabbing
awesome.
chips to open up while we're dancing.
That's
in
the biggest
well,
problem if you do that in there. It's like I'm gonna be like, you seen the cheese over here?
Yeah,
like,
like,
I'm gonna
they
eat
just
all
trust
these.
people?
Yeah,
I
like
saw people
the
were cracking
chocolates.
wine.
The chocolates over there at Royal Blue are legit. So really cool. But
Talk
yeah,
about good promotion too. Like
absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
So and like electronic music wasn't always around, right? It wasn't here in the 70s. Maybe there were some people doing stuff, but it wasn't really around. So people go, "This isn't what old Austin was," and it's like, yeah, there wasn't DJs in the 70s.
Yeah.
There wasn't in any city, you know. So these are those little changes that are happening, and I think it's a cool thing that that's like, to me, is the new art when it comes to events, is how they're like, where can we do these crazy pop-ups at, where we bring it, and they have a community now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, I think not to keep talking about our stuff, but like even Dainty Dillo, we're doing like watch parties for Love Island, and The Bachelor is about to start, the Golden Bachelor. There's some of my favorite events we have. Like, it's packed to the brim with people who are there to like just watch and see if this guy falls in love with one of these ladies. And whenever somebody gets voted off, our staff like rips a photo, people cheer or they boo. It's not, no, it's like, again, it's these cool little bubbles of community that I think, again, lean into. We are a very weird city. Not a lot of cities can get away with having a bachelor watch party, but Austin's like, we celebrate it. It's like a really cool thing. So more points for weird than points for not weird.
So I would say, yeah, to conclude this whole conversation, I think we're leaning towards it is still weird.
I think we're gonna get some people that are gonna light us up and say, y'all don't know, it's not like it used to be. Totally valid argument.
Yep.
But I am gonna be an optimist. Imagine that, and say I think that this is a weird time, and Austin's a weird place. And again, if you're seeking out new experiences, then you'll probably see more weird stuff. Mm-hmm. If you're just doing the same 7 things you do every week, how would you see anything new and weird and different? So maybe go buy a ticket to a show and see a heavy metal band. Maybe go catch a magic show when you wouldn't do that normally. There's a guy who does, I've talked about BS Saloon like 40 times, but he does like fart joke trivia on Monday nights at BS Saloon. And it is as funny as anything I've seen at Comedy Mothership. And it's just a dude every Monday doing questions for a couple hours. Like, again, I think there's just a lot of that out there.
Yep.
You just got to go find it. And I don't think that's something that you can tell everybody about. There's just so much of these weird little things.
Speaking of which, there is a thing called Butt Stuff Bingo. Have you heard about this?
Oh man, I didn't know if we were going to be allowed to talk about Butt Stuff Bingo. But that used to be one of the wildest events in town.
And now it's at, what's the place? It's Copperhead. And then there's a bar on 6th Street.
It was at High Ball, and
Yes.
I think it's now at
I know the
Vulcan Gas Company.
No. It's in Riverside, Copperhead Club.
Oh, that's
And then what's the bar behind it?
Don't do that to me.
And it's on 6th Street with the big rabbit.
Not Jackalope.
Yep, Jackalope.
It's a Jackalope?
It's what they call it, Show Pony now. So
Okay. Oh,
it's inside
it's on
Jackalope.
Southside.
There's
Yes.
So inside Jackalope, there's
Man, I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to go.
Oh, it's
I
great.
love it.
So Butt Stuff Bingo every Wednesday, and it's basically bingo, but it's like they do it off of.
I'm excited to hear you.
porno.
I can't believe you're gonna describe this right now. This is gonna be great.
I'm gonna try my best.
Yeah.
And they get very R-rated.
Yeah,
I've heard stories of people like getting
not a kid,
naked.
not kid friendly. I am not going to confirm or deny, but I'm going to say there are stories of people that go on like first dates to Butt
my
Stuff Bingo,
God.
and they learn way more than they wanted to learn about people on the first date. Do not do that. Also, do not go with your coworkers. Do not go with if you don't want to see somebody give somebody else a lap dance, don't go with that person because they could get called on stage, and it's. Sorry to hijack you here.
No.
It's the weirdest thing for me to see. It's just almost like studying, just human nature. They're not competing for like $2,000. They're competing for like adult sex toys.
Yeah.
That they're probably never going to use because they're so most of them are just like it's a prop, it's a joke. But people will literally embarrass themselves so thorough to win, and then they get off. They're like, hey, you want to. Whatever,
A keychain, a mini dildo keychain.
And you're like, oh, cool. Like, you just did all that for $10 keychain. Cool. Like, good job. It is just it's one of the wildest events in town.
100%.
Man,
So-
I didn't know they still had it. You've sold me. I'll see you
Yeah,
there.
so literally this is like the perfect ending. If you wonder if Austin is still weird and you want to keep Austin weird, you have to go to Butt Stuff Bingo at Show Pony. And you're going to realize why it is. It's one of the craziest bingos that you can find in Austin, Texas. Go to that. That's the perfect spot.
I'd like anyone who's saying anything in the comments I'd like to know if they've been to Butt Stuff Bingo
100%.
before they say anything, because it is that's still keeping it weird, man. That is very much so.
Yup.
So
Well, I feel like we've been talking for a while. We're gonna have to do some more episodes. I want you to fill in because you're just a good guest to talk with about things. And
I like to ramble.
I like talking to you in
I
general.
like having
So.
cold beers. So we got a lot in common there.
Well, for those who are in Austin or visiting Austin, remember, go to Instagram, check out Armadillo Den, check out Chalmers, check out Dainty Dillo. I'm going to be posting a bunch of stuff from this episode. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Spotify. We're also on Instagram and TikTok if you want to follow the Austin Pod. So give us a follow. It is about to be a crazy season with ACL, F1, a whole bunch of other events. So we're going to be having some crazy episodes coming back. We are back on our calendar, making an episode every week. So we appreciate you guys listening. Thank you for being a guest
I had
today.
a great time, brother. Thanks for having me.
Cheers,
we'll
man.
do it. We'll do it
Double.
like that.
Hell yeah. Cheers, everybody.